umpire mag feed, and I can't wait to go across the pond to listen to Across the Pod, fresh out of Wales. Special stuff. Cheers.
Hello everyone, Andy here, and here's what you can look forward to in today's episode. In today's episode, I was joined by Baltimore Ravens fan Shane Harris in team season preview 4 out of 32. Shane discusses one player departure that he was sad to see.
He wouldn't have been a fixture in the locker room for that long if he wasn't.
I asked Shane about the Ravens' near misses in recent seasons. They've just not quite had enough to get all the way to a Super Bowl, and that's been the one thing in Lamar Jackson's career.
It was always close but no cigar every year. You were always banging your head against the glass ceiling.
And much more as Shane gives his overall end of season record prediction in our win, loss or tie segment. Hope you all enjoy. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. It's team season preview 4 out of 32, and as you can see from the title of the episode, the team we are focusing on today is the Baltimore Ravens. Now with me, I've got a returning guest. He is a well-known Ravens fan on this show. He was here for last season's season preview. It's Shane Harris. Shane, good to have you back on.
How's it going, Andy, my old buddy? What is this, year 3 that we've done this now? Is it year 3, I think?
You know what? I think it's 4. The first year we
4, yeah, maybe 4.
Yeah.
I mean, I must be doing something right because you keep having me back. So, you know, I'm always gracious for that.
Yeah, you're doing something right. I think the first year I had you on was when I was in Brighton Uni. So that was 2022. So that would mean it's 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th year you've done this podcast.
Whoa, is it really? Well, time flies when you're having fun, you know what they say.
Oh, can't believe that. I'm never a fan of how fast time goes. That's absolutely crazy. How that's been 5 years already. Wow, it feels like just yesterday I was starting off these season previews. So yeah, it's good to have you on. And you are speaking in a new location. You've obviously come on a lot of times before on the show, but I've never seen this background. You've got what looks like a sea of purple behind you.
You are absolutely correct. I finally got my own man cave in where me, the missus and our boy living at the moment. I managed to convert our shed into a purple man cave. What I'll do, I'll give you a quick tour. For those of you who can see with video capabilities, there's a lot of shirts there. And there's also a Baltimore Ravens dartboard, which is absolutely phenomenal, as you can see. See, there's the new Ed Reed. There's Ravens darts as well. I'm not sure if you can see that. Sorry about the sun there. Ravens darts, yeah. Yeah, I've got plenty of purple going on. So this is going to be my refuge when the season starts. This is.
Wow. I mean, I think I saw then a Lamar Jackson Louisville jersey as well as the Ravens gear.
Indeed, but that was a Christmas present off my old buddy Oliver Butler Henderson in the third and long days.
Yes, that was. I remember he did a couple of Secret Santas back in the day on the show. I want to say, did you get for Christmas or birthday this year? Was it a signed Derrick Henry jersey? Was that you that got that? It was you, wasn't it?
The missus got it for me. Yeah, it's currently hanging pride of place in the house. And she's also, what she's done, God bless her, we found a Ravens 2023 London game hoodie on Vinted for like 15 quid. So we found that, framed it, put pictures of me there on the day, because anybody that knows, that was the best day of my life. So the interior of our house is Ravens, Nightmare Before Christmas. And I think there's a lot of Metallica stuff there as well. My guitars are on the wall and as well. So yeah, we haven't done bad, fair play.
No, and you mentioned Metallica, a band I know you like. You went to see them recently as well. That must have been an incredible day for you as well.
Yeah. It was in the stadium I worked in during COVID, which was a hospital. So obviously, as being a fellow Welshman like myself, that stadium holds a certain place in your heart. And seeing them in that stadium blew my tiny little mind. And it's the 7th time I've seen them. Yeah, absolutely incredible. What a day. And I saw Alter Bridge in Cardiff Castle the day before. I've never been to a gig in Cardiff Castle before, but what a brilliant setup, what a brilliant venue.
Yeah, I mean, it is good. I actually pass it every day on my way to work, that that or the castle. And at the moment, I'm seeing a lot of days where they are, getting ready for a festival and or concert or whatever. And yeah, it's pretty good. I watched Will Smith play there last year. That was a fun little evening. But
Yeah,
no.
there's been loads of they're doing loads of gigs down there at the moment. There's like a festival thing. You've had Pitbull there, Alter Bridge. You've had Katy Perry, I think, as well. But the thing is, I know you live in Cardiff Bay. They're in the middle of making a new arena in Cardiff Bay, so you should be able to see gigs all the time before long.
Yeah, I mean, I went there recently. Can't think what I was doing in the Bay. Like that part, I live in the Bay, but that part of the Bay, I want to say I can't think. We might have been going bowling, but you can see them starting to build it, so it's pretty cool. And I actually could hear Metallica from my balcony in my flat, albeit only the start because I went to a friend's house that evening in Chepstow. But I did. I heard a little bit of Metallica. From my balcony, which is so we were technically watching it together without actually being together.
Yeah. Well, we've always said we'll do something. We always seem to be in the same vicinity at the same time. I'll tell you one thing I did learn from that weekend, though. I'm too old for standing at the moment now. Every gig I got to go to has to have seats, so I'm not going. My feet were aching. My dogs were barking, let me tell you.
Yeah, I've always been in favour of seated, and not just because my legs get stiff, but also because I found this. I went to watch. I've been to a few gigs recently. Went to watch Zach Brown band standing. I saw Pitbull in Blackpool. Funny enough.
Yeah.
As well as I can't think of Scissor Sisters, Pet Shop Boys. It was like a weekend festival up in Blackpool, and the issue I've got with standing is that you constantly have to move around because someone's walking past with a drink, or I find that very annoying. Have to constantly move back and forth because people are, walking past you with drinks and all that. Whereas I found when I watched Luke Combs in Paris recently and I was seated, way more fun. No one got up in front of me. I was at the end so I could stretch my legs out. A way better experience. And I've got a feeling it's cheaper as well to go seated than it is. So
my standing ticket cost me secondhand £225. And that was, like I said, I said to mum and dad, what do you want to get me for Christmas? Get me that ticket, because that gig, I wouldn't have missed that gig for, hell or high water. So yeah, it was expensive, but as I said, you can't put a price on memories like that. To hear James Hetfield say Cardiff after the fact they hadn't played there in 30 years was a biblical experience.
I can imagine. I heard a lot of good things about what they did for the community as well. But we are here to talk all things.
Gonna say I can wax lyrical about Metallica all day long, but that's not what we're here to do.
Exactly. We are here to talk all things Baltimore Ravens ahead of their 2026 NFL season. Going on to the ins and outs of the Ravens season. The ins include the likes of re-signing Tyler Huntley, re-signing the likes of John Jenkins, Nick Moore, Corey Bullock, as well as signing the likes of Trey Hendrickson, which was the biggest move, and of course looks like you're wearing his jersey as well.
Oh yes, that was ordered the second he signed. I wasn't going to make the same mistake that people did to Max Crosby, order his jersey and then the deal not go through. But yeah, I got as you can see, it's a little snug. There you go, look.
Yes, Hendrickson. Yeah, that's amazing. You also brought in Jaden Hawkins from the Patriots, Durham Smythe, Calais Campbell back on the team, Skylar Thompson, but you did also see the likes of Cooper Rush depart, as well as Tylan Wallace, David Ajabo, Patrick Ricard, Isaiah Likely, Charlie Kohler, and Daniel Filelli. And in the draft, you did take Vega Ione, offensive guard from Penn State, 14th overall, as well as Zion Young, linebacker from Missouri, and Jacoby Lane, receiver out of USC, amongst many others. Shane, first of all, your thoughts on the team's off-season as a whole?
You know what it's like being a fan of any NFL team. The rosters fluctuate a lot during the off season, so you could get attached to many players and they end up leaving. You got the likes of Isaiah Likely, which made me quite sad. We knew the writing was on the wall with that one when Mark Andrews signed that extension. That we knew we were keeping Andrews around for longer, so we knew either Kohler or Likely had to go. We didn't know it would be both. But I mean, Likely has gone to. There's been a lot of departure to the Giants. Obviously, John's going to pick up players that he knows, which makes perfect sense. It'd be interesting to see how the Giants cope this year. Are they going to be Ravens 2.0 or they're going to fall flat? Remains to be seen. People like Pat Ricardo have been a Raven forever. You know, it's always sad to see him go. But you know, best of luck. He's not just a great player, but he's also a really great person as well. He wouldn't have been a fixture in the locker room for that long if he wasn't. I do love the addition of Calais Campbell. What a character! What a guy! And he just seems to defy age. You know, he's just really good. It's great to have him back, that presence around the locker room. It's really, really, really sad what happened to his mother. I mean, if you don't know about it, I'm sure you can find it on Google. But yeah, you know, condolences to the family of Calais Campbell from everyone in the Greater Football Network. Yeah, I think a really shrewd acquisition is Jaden Hawkins from the Patriots. He had 70 tackles last year, and 4 interceptions and a fumble as well, and a fumble recovery as well. So I think as a safety there, I think he's going to pair well with Kyle Hamilton. Yeah, it feels like it's been forever now, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel like with the season ending and then the Football Premier League ending and then the World Cup now, it just seems like forever ago, doesn't it? I just want to get started again now.
Oh, I mean, I'm so excited. I really am. I mean, every year I get excited, and it just seems to get more and more. Now, I will say, it'll never top for me that first year where you really get into the NFL and you have that off season. I remember when, for years and years, I watched I mentioned it loads before on my story, how I always just watched highlights only, and then finally got into it watching games in full. And I remember that first off season. I remember that first week one I had. The first year I properly got into the NFL and watched it, games live all the way through. And I remember nothing will beat that feeling you have when you've overcome the adverts, you've overcome kind of learning the rules, and you finally are in a place where you love the sport. I find that first off season is will never ever be topped. But yeah, every year it seems to get quicker and quicker, but also feels longer and longer, if that makes any sense. It was an 8 months off season, and we're literally, at time of recording, we are a month and a half away from the season beginning. So yeah, very, very exciting stuff.
I was going to say, like, you know, when you're in the middle of the season and you've got like the Jets and the Browns on a Thursday night, you're like, oh, whatever. But at the moment, you would kill for Jets and the Browns on a Thursday night. You know what I mean? I didn't mention our draft pick as well. Vega Ione. I'm not going to pronounce his first name because Samoan isn't my first language. But what an absolute monster of a player. I'm so looking forward to him being there to protect Lamar Jackson. And Daniel Farley's gone. He's replacing Farley. Thank God. Farley was a revolving door. I mean, I speak for the Ravens fan base when I say what a horrible, horrible acquisition he was. Best of luck in New York. But as I said, Ione is 6'2", 320 pounds. He's an absolute beast. And if you watch the highlights, you can see why Eric DaCosta brought him in. He's going to be interesting. He's going to be protecting Lamar Jackson. And I think, obviously, what Lamar Jackson are we going to get this year? Because in the NFL 100-player rankings, he was 69. And I'm like, come on. Then you look at it, he was also injured a lot last year. And I see if Vega can protect him, and we'll see what Lamar Jackson we're going to get.
Yeah, I think these things a lot of the time, people get caught up in a player's career rather than based on the season. I mean, purely how last season went, it probably isn't far off what he was. I think some people think of just kind of picture Lamar Jackson's whole career, because you look at his whole career, he's definitely in top 10 players of any position in the NFL. He's been electric since he became a starter in Baltimore. So I do think those things often, fans often forget that it is based on the season just gone. But no, I had no problems with that. Any part of you wish you could have got Max Crosby as well this off season?
I'll tell you a little story. I was asleep, and the missus woke me up to tell me she's dipping her toe in. She's starting to learn things. You know, it's like she's a massive F1 fan, huge F1 fan, massive Lewis Hamilton fan. So I've got to sort of, you know, try and get involved in that as well. So I'm learning things about that. We're watching Grand Prix together. So she's doing the same thing when it comes to NFL. And she said, the Ravens have signed Max Crosby. I said, what? it's one of those. It's one of those maddening things you never ever think's going to happen. Like the Myles Garrett trade to LA, you never thought that was going to happen. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was doing cartwheels in the living room, well, something that resembled a cartwheel at my age anyway. And yeah, I was like, right, I'm getting his jersey straight away. And was it less than 48 hours? Something like that, or a couple of days, and then we pulled the plug because the Raiders didn't tell us that he was still a tiny bit injured. And if you're giving up 2 first-round picks for a player who, but then, like, as I've always said when I was back on the pods back in the day, the draft isn't a guarantee of how good a player is going to be. How many players have we seen that have been taken in the first 5, 10 first-round picks that have been a bust? I'll always bank on guaranteed experience. I was gutted, but also, like, Trey Hendrickson. What a fantastic replacement. Not only did he strengthen our defense, but he also takes away from a division rival as well. And yeah, as I said, I was over the moon. I had to get this. And these are the new jerseys as well, the beautiful, beautiful new jerseys.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the fact that you got him from a division rival, it does make it all that sweeter. We talked about it months ago with Rory Jones when the news kind of broke. I mean, Max Crosby was on his Instagram story was posting him in Baltimore, and then before we know it, he's not going there. And I do think there might have been a little bit of fibbing going on from the Ravens. I do believe they, in my opinion, they saw that they could keep the draft picks and they can go and get someone and spend, save money on player wages. I do think there was a little bit of that. I don't know whether I quite believe that he failed a physical. Personally, I think there's a little bit of, as Rory actually called it, a little bit of skullduggery going on. I do believe there was maybe something not quite right with that because, it just felt a little bit fishy to me.
But a buyer's remorse, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I think the fact they knew they could have got spent the same amount of money, same caliber player, but not give up 2 draft picks. I think that was ultimately the key. We've talked about a lot of ins and outs when it comes to players. The one in and out we haven't mentioned is head coaching position. Now, we saw John Harbaugh leave after a long time with the Ravens, a time where he did win a Super Bowl in what we call the Blackout Bowl.
Yes, we do.
He leaves after a long time, goes and joins the Giants, and instead you get Jesse Minter, who was well known for his defensive coordinator days. What are your thoughts on that? Because you probably haven't experienced any other head coach apart from Harbaugh in your time as a Ravens fan. How have you found that, and what are your thoughts on the hiring of Jesse Minter?
When I started following the Ravens, we had Brian Billick. We've had 4 head coaches in my tenure. Well, in the whole organization's tenure. Ted Marchibroda, he was there then, and then Brian Billick took over. Obviously, won a Super Bowl then against the Giants, and then Harbaugh took over, won the Super Bowl against the Niners. Sorry, Phil. Sorry, Ollie. I love you boys. And obviously, and now Jesse Minter's here. I think it was a case of something had to be done. With John, it was always close but no cigar every year. You were always banging your head against the glass ceiling. You beat these teams that you should be beating, and then come up against these like really good teams like the Chiefs and the Bills, and you have all the capabilities in the world to beat them, but something always happened. So I think Steve Bisciotti and Eric DeCosta needed a change. And I was shocked, and I like to think every Ravens fan was shocked when they announced his departure. But I think we all needed, a change. There needed to be a clean cut and a start again. So I'll do like I do every year. I put money on the Ravens to win a Super Bowl every year. Nothing massive, only about 20 quid. But then you don't know like how they're going to cope with the new coaches, and the new coaching structure and the different. I imagine it's a different playbook as well. So it'll be interesting to see now. The first playoff game, friendly, will be on I think it's the 15th of August against the Eagles. It'll be interesting to see. I know he won't start, he won't play his starters, but he might not. Who knows? Interesting to see how things are different now. I'm looking forward to the Jesse Minter era in Baltimore.
Yeah, I think for me personally, the one thing that's been a big Achilles heel for the Ravens when they've been firing on offense is the defense. You think about a couple of years ago when you played some teams and you were winning, you were scoring like 30 points, but you were allowing the same amount of points as well. I remember you narrowly beat the Bengals a couple of times, and that was like 30 something. And I always felt like Lamar Jackson. Obviously, there were flaws in the offense. Don't get me wrong. There was a time where Harbaugh chose not to run in the AFC Championship. There's been times where Lamar Jackson made mistakes, but the defense was often undoing all the work Lamar Jackson did. And I feel like now you got a guy who can fix that side of things. Also, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry stay healthy on the field. They can do what they do and win you games that way. I do think it's a good hire. I do think it's the second, if not the best hire in the NFL this offseason. And I think the Ravens could be an exciting prospect. Speaking of the Ravens, this has been a team that have come really close in recent years. They're a team that, I mentioned it before, they made the AFC Championship game, number one seed. They've lost divisional round games, they've lost wildcard round games. They've just not quite had enough to get all the way to a Super Bowl. And that's been the one thing in Lamar Jackson's career, 2 MVPs, electric plays, stats, all of that. But that is the one thing he's missing is a Super Bowl. And this obviously is a season where the AFC is a lot weaker than the NFC. A lot of the best teams seem to be the NFC. And the AFC, the window feels a bit open for some teams to make the most because the Chiefs had a down year last year. They could come back, but they might not. The Patriots remains to be seen whether they'll do it again 2 years in a row with what was an easy schedule last year. The Bills have got a new head coach as well. They've not done they've not made the Super Bowl either. So they're a bit like the Ravens in terms of new head coach trying to find that extra step to make a Super Bowl. What do you think this year? What do you think the team needs to do this year to finally get over that hump and reach the Super Bowl for the first time in Lamar Jackson's career?
I've always said on our previous shows as well that I'd liken the Ravens to, say, an Arsenal. They sort of, they're thereabouts every year. They're top 2, 3, 4 every year. But Arsenal won the league last year. So maybe it is our time. And like you said, there's so much opportunity this year. A lot more. The league's a lot more open. There's a lot more different bits and pieces that happened over the preseason, which could, in effect, lead the Ravens to go all the way this year. There's only one team, I think. We'll come on to this shortly when we do the predictions. There's one team I think that is going to be dangerous to watch, and that's the Rams. Other than that, I'm not scared of anybody. I don't think anybody out there you think, or they're intimidating. You're definitely going to lose. But I think the Rams are the shoe-in for the NFC, and we'll see about the AFC. Hopefully, it's us.
Yeah, I think the whole that NFC West, excluding the Cardinals, the Niners, the Seahawks. I think they were. I think NFC is the way better conference right now. I do think, even the Eagles. I think they've obviously lost Brown, but they brought in Mekhi Lemon, and I think the teams like the Cowboys. Well, I do think the Ravens would beat the Cowboys, but I do think there's a lot of good teams in that NFC, and I think if an NFC West team makes a Super Bowl, unless it is the Cardinals by some shock, I do believe they'll win the Super Bowl, no matter who they play in the AFC. I do think the only team I think that could beat them on their day is the Bills because of Josh Allen and how electric he is. And I think maybe the Ravens the same thing with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. But I do believe, if you were to make the Super Bowl and take on the Rams, which, spoiler alert, is my current pick to be the Super Bowl matchup, I do think the Rams would win. But I do think also the NFC West, I think all three of them could generally win the Super Bowl this season. And speaking of which, heading on to the season, let's go to our final segment, which is win, lose, or tie. So in 2025, the Ravens did go 8-9, and Shane, you were on the show 12 months ago. Do you by chance remember what your position was record-wise a year ago?
I've slept a lot and drunk a lot since then. No, but in all honesty, I don't.
Okay, well, get ready. So you predicted 12-5.
Ooh, nowhere near.
4 wins behind, but if I'm honest, no one was thinking 12-5. What's the all about 12-5? Everyone thought that's a reasonable prediction. If anything, you probably think it would be more likely to be more than 12 wins rather than less than 12 wins. So, yeah, no, it wasn't quite the season what I don't think anyone expected. But
well, the Lamar Jackson injury put paid to that, didn't it? So
yeah, that was the thing. And it was just one of those seasons. I think it was just the ending of John Harbaugh, really. And I think it was what the team needed maybe to get them that, the change they needed to do. And, now they got a new head coach who will hope he can guide the team to another number one seed in the AFC.
Let's hope so.
Well, starting off, you have got a road game in Indianapolis as you take on the Colts. Shane, win, lose, or tie?
I've seen a lot of prediction videos for the Ravens season so far. I'm shocked as to how lopsided it is. Yeah, I'm going for a win here. I mean, there will be a lot of wins, I got to be honest, because I kind of know the figure I've got in my mind. But it's hard to be biased when you look at the schedule as well, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I'll go for a win against the Colts. I don't think they got a sniff anymore, really. No, not a chance. Not a chance. We're taking that one.
Okay, well, week 2 is your first home game of the season as you host the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, see, the Saints, again, have got nothing. They brought in Travis Etienne. The best player they got is Chris Olave. Nah, I think we got him again. I think that's 2-0 for us.
Well, week 3 is the first ever NFL game in Rio de Janeiro as you take on the Dallas Cowboys at the Maracanã Stadium.
And that's not fair, but is it? When they were saying about the Ravens going to be doing a game away from America, you know what it's like yourself with the Dolphin games. You think, oh, Germany, London, we can do it. No, but Brazil. Thanks for that. Yeah, again, the Cowboys are not a force. Haven't been for a good long time. Yeah, got to be Ravens again. I think 3-0.
I mean, boy, what I would give to be in such an iconic stadium in the Maracanã. That. It just feels like it's bucket list stuff. It really is. I mean, you're seeing like the Azteca going on in the World Cup, and you're seeing, that Monterey stadium you had in the World Cup where there's like a mountain view of the, that's an iconic stadium. And I think anyone who gets to go to this game, I think, should be extremely lucky or count themselves extremely lucky because you are seeing arguably the most marketable team in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys, and you're seeing one of the most electric players in the NFL, quarterback-wise, Lamar Jackson, one of the best running backs, I would say, of all time. My favourite player of all time, Derrick Henry, but a lot of people would say the best of his era, maybe, or one of the best of his era. So you're seeing him, you're seeing Lamar Jackson, Trey Hendrickson, you're seeing Zay Flowers, you're seeing CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens. It's iconic, and I think anyone who gets to go to this game, I think, I'm so jealous. Week 4, though, you are back at home and you are taking on the Tennessee Titans.
Do you see how soft this schedule is already? It's like, what have the Titans got? Nothing. You know what I mean? It's just, it's got to be 4-0 again. Of course it have. And bar any injuries, bar any massive injuries, you're going to have at least double digits, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you've, going all the way to Brazil is quite a taxing journey on the players, I'd imagine. But then you get the respite of, okay, we're playing the Titans. It's not as if you're playing the 49ers or the Rams or, I don't know, even that if you're playing
the Packers, the Niners, yeah, of course.
If you're playing the Cowboys not in Brazil and you're playing them after play, there's some games you could be playing in that. But the fact that you're playing the Titans is almost the perfect team to come back and play after going so far away. And it also must bring back some nice memories for you from 2023.
Do you know what I was going to say? Bonus fact against the Titans is the only time I've seen my beloved Ravens play. And yeah, there was a lot of tears shed that day, not just because a pint of inches was £7, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. I say it to Jess and she's like, well, you haven't married me yet and all this. But it was, without question, the best day of my life.
Amazing. And it took you just one game to see your team win in person. It took me 8.
It took you 8.
Oh my god! We almost messed that up as well. We almost lost that game as well. So that was
I know.
That was incredible. Week 5, you are back on the road, and this time taking on the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, win. Yeah. The only thing impressive about the Falcons is their stadium, as we saw during the World Cup. It's a beautiful, beautiful facility. But yeah, again, they've got Kyle Pitts, Drake London. I think we beat them as well.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, week 6, you are staying on the road, but this time taking on the Cleveland Browns.
We will walk into the factory of sadness and we will walk out with a win. We've also pinched his centre, Ethan Pochich, as well, by the way. So that plugged the centre issue that we were having after that, what's his face? I've forgotten his name already. That money grabbing bloke that went to the Raiders. I forgot his name. Linda something. He's gone now. It don't matter. But, yeah. We're walking out with a win. Of course, we are. It's only the Browns. What's the worst that could happen?
So first of all, you take their team in '95, and now you're taking their centre.
Yes.
Not very nice, is it?
Yes. Well, I told you, did I ever tell you a little story about the fact that anyone who knows me knows I'm a wrestling fan, have been since I was about 8 years old. And on an event called SummerSlam 1996, one of the bad guy wrestlers came out. The event was in Cleveland. One of the bad guy wrestlers came out with a Baltimore Ravens jersey on, and the crowd were booing him, and I never knew why until I got into NFL and stuff, and I was like, makes sense now. Yes, of course. We took their team in the middle of the night. Art Modell's a genius.
Week 7, you are back at home for the first time since week 4 as you take on another division rival in the Cincinnati Bengals.
I think, in all seriousness, we've pinched Trey Hendrickson, which will make their defense, as good as a chocolate fire guard. But there's one variable in that game. How is the connection between Burrow and Chase going to be? If it's good, they'll give you a game. Like last year, as you said, there was a shootout, and it was mental. But if that connection's not firing, or if we sort of double up on Chase and he's ineffectual, we're going to win that game.
Okay, so then going into week 8, you are traveling once again to the brand new Buffalo Bills Stadium against Buffalo Bills.
This is Rocky and Mr. T. This is The Rock and Hulk Hogan. This is the match. This is the game of, if not the season, in the AFC. It's going to be punch for punch. It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out affair. And I think we would love to get our revenge for when Mark Andrews dropped the ball, and cost us our season. But no, I think the Bills are going to hang the first loss in our season from there.
Okay, so then week 9, you are back at home, but this time taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Do you know what? I like the Jags, and I was supposed to be going to see the Jags and the Texans game in Wembley this year, but obviously, I've been told the wedding's more important, so I can't go. So I would have loved to have seen the Jags. I'm a big fan of their team. I think they're brilliant. Will this be Travis Hunter's breakout year where they finally discover how to use him properly? I think we'll win, but it will be close. I think we'll win, but it'll be close. It won't be any sort of walkover.
Fair. Well, week 10, you are at home once again, but this time against the Los Angeles Chargers.
Jesse Minter plays his former team for the first time after coming over as their defensive coordinator to us. So that'll be interesting. He'll know a lot of the players. So I think that'll be our trump card for that game as well. I think we beat them as well because Jesse Minter will know a lot. And I think that's going to be used to our advantage.
Okay, so week 11, you are traveling to the Carolina Panthers.
That's another team that have been on the come up over the last 2 years. Bryce Young's getting better and better every season now. I think with early round draft picks, they get so much pressure. So much pressure put on them to perform in the big leagues, and a lot of them can't. I'm glad Carolina gave Bryce Young time to sort of, turn into the franchise-saving quarterback that they wanted him to be. But I still think we'll win. I don't think they've got enough firepower anywhere else on the defense or the offense to stop us.
Okay, so then week 12, you are staying on the road, but this time against the Houston Texans.
I remember playing them in the playoffs. I think it was 2 years ago. I was on here with the Kilted Texan. Lovely bloke, really nice bloke. The only person I know on this side of the pond that's got a better man cave than me, right? Lovely bloke. And I was a little bit sketchy about us beating them then, but we did. But for some reason, I think they got us this time. I think it's going to be one of those any given Sunday games, and I think they'll get the Duke in this one. Yeah, I think they'll win.
I mean, if you like defensive battles, this is the game for you. I mean, that's one of the, if not the best defense in the league, the Houston Texans, and up against Jesse Minter-led defense for the Ravens. That's going to be great. If you like a defensive game, this one might be the one for you. So after that game, you have got a bye week in week 13. So following that, week 14 is a home game against Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
If that was away, I think they'd beat us. But I think the fact home field advantage is going to play into that, and we're coming off a bye week as well, so we're going to be fresh and ready. I think we'll win that one.
So week 15, you are facing for the one last time Aaron Rodgers on the road to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You know how much this game means to me. You know, and again, there's only one rivalry I can compare this to: United against Liverpool. You know what it's like. You were on the other side of the fence. I'm on this side of the fence. I think we're going to batter them, and I just love playing them. It's just honestly, whether it's playoffs, regular season, tiddlywinks, chess, basketball, whatever, I hate that team, and they hate us, and I can't wait to win.
I never thought I'd hear tiddlywinks on this episode today.
You cross off your bingo card.
Yeah. Well, it's AFC North the rest of the way. You've got the Cleveland Browns in week 16.
Yeah, that's a win again. I think we're just going to be sort of. I think we go on a 5-game winning stand towards the end of the season as well. I don't think we lose a game now.
Oh, so you're saying you're going to win the last 2 games against the Bengals and the Steelers?
I think we go 15-2.
Wow, that is quite the bold statement, and I always thought.
I know. Look how soft the schedule is. If all of our players are fit, yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Browns is a guaranteed 2 wins. I think. I mean, you never know. Their defense, Jarvis and all that might cause the balls, but the Colts and the Saints, the Titans, Falcons, they're all very easy games on paper. The Jags, after losing ETN, you don't know how they're going to be. Obviously, teams like the Bills, you're probably going to have trouble with them. And, you think about, on their day, the Chargers. But we saw Stroud struggle in the playoffs, and there's no guarantee he's going to get back to what he once was. The Panthers only seem to be good for half a season at the moment. The Buccaneers seem to be going a bit stale with Mayfield and Bowles. So, you are right. It's quite a favourable schedule. So, I think this is not the reason why I thought they'd make the Super Bowl. I just thought Minter would be the difference. But with that schedule as well, certainly talk about number 1 seed in the AFC, I think certainly you and Bill should be the favourites for that, for many reasons, as well as just how easy your schedule is.
As much as Tyler Luke broke my heart when he missed that kick against the Steelers, every crowd and all that, we knew that the schedule would be softer due to how we finished last year. And this is what happens next now. The past is gone. This is what happens next now. And as I said, it's a very favourable schedule. But you know what it's like. But it doesn't really count until the end of the playoffs. And then the playoffs it's like a penalty shootout. You know what it's like. It's any given Sunday.
It really is. It really is. It's that time of year I love. You've got FA Cup 3rd round. You've got playoffs after that. January turns from being quite a depressing month, aside from my birthday, to being actually quite a good month. When you get into the NFL, you realise how good January can be. So
I used to love the lakeside darts in January. I know, it used to be on early January, the lakes. Yeah, that's what the big nostalgic part of my childhood was, the darts. And then, like you said, FA Cup 3rd round as well.
Yeah, amazing time of year. It's. I think if there's any time you're going to want to be sitting on the sofa, having an excuse to not do much and not leave the house, then it's why not be in a cold January? We're not leaving the house anyway, and you get to watch some great sport. If you were to go 15-2, Shane, how far are you predicting in the postseason that you'll go?
Super Bowl. As I said, but the only it's the first season of Jesse Minter. If he doesn't do it this year, with all the players that he's got, I think The window again, as we've always said, is closing. But I think we've got it this year. I really do. I hate to sound biased and like too cocky and arrogant, but I think the stars are aligning now. I think everything's falling into place with the soft schedule. Providing LJ stays fit and a lot more players stay fit, then I don't see why not.
That is actually a good way to end the episode. So Shane, first of all, thank you for coming on today.
No trouble, but anytime.
Absolutely, and you'll be sure to hear Shane once again in the near future. I am sure that. But in the meantime, this has been the Across the Pod NFL podcast. I've been, as ever, your host today, Andy Davis, the team season preview for Out of 32 and the Baltimore Ravens. And today's guest has been Ravens fan Shane Harris. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.